Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Northwest Liberty News, picking the lock on the shackles of tyranny.
Machines are going to fail, and the system's going to fail.
The past is past, the future's now.
Don't look at me. I think these people are completely nuts.
Sometimes trouble just follows a man.
There is another organism on this planet that follows the same pattern. Do you know what it is? A virus.
Can't you stop your lips from flapping for 2 little minutes?
It's because I'm white.
I'm a man. I'm sensitive. I need to feel loved. I need to be desired.
I'm rapidly becoming a big underground success in this town.
Well, it's a question of methods. Everybody wants results, but nobody wants to do what they have to do to get them done.
And now, coming to you live from Kalispell, Montana, brought to you by Northwest Liberty News, it's Montana Gazette Radio with your host, James White. Okay, this is Montana Gazette Radio. I'm your host, James White. Thanks so much for joining me here today on this 18th day of November 2020. Coming back from a mild illness, upper respiratory type head cold thing. Feeling way better today than I have been in days. So I'm looking to get back to full swing of things here probably by the end of the day today or tomorrow, Lord willing, because we have an enemy that needs to be defeated. And everyone needs to have all hands on decks, folks. All hands on deck. All hands on deck. If you're waiting for a call from headquarters, it's not going to come. Look at the person in the mirror. That's the person that has to be activated and has to get motivated. So thanks so much again here for joining us. If everything's working properly, we should be broadcasting on multiple different platforms. We're on about 7 or 8 different platforms now, including Blog Talk Radio. Going to be broadcasting on Podbean here, probably starting next week. So what I'm going to do with the program here is I don't believe I'm going to be doing these long form shows as much. And if I have a guest, I will. But I'm going to, I think, switch over to multiple shorter news briefs during the day. I think that right now things are happening, so quickly, and news is breaking. I do a show at 9 o'clock or 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. By 3 or 4 o'clock, the whole practically news cycle could have changed, and especially with how things are going now. So I think we're moving into a time where it's going to be very important for people to continue to be informed, as long as these platforms are available for us to do so. I'll be switching over, as I stated, to Podbean here coming up probably next week. I have an account there, and I just have to set all that up. And that's what I'm in the process of doing. So thanks so much for joining me, and appreciate your support here on the broadcast. So it appears, by all accounts, that we are there's an attempt to overthrow this country by our own CIA. I don't know how else you want to put it, but one of my understanding from the stuff that's coming out here with this voting fraud. And these machines that have really, I don't know how many decades you think they've been stealing elections? Lots of decades. I don't know how many, but it's been a long time. And their whole program, of course, is built. And we just had a little show earlier here with Melissa Deal, my critical disclosure broadcast, and we talked about how the governor there in Arizona, she's from Arizona, and she's getting just victimized brutally by the system there. But folks are fighting back. The tide, it is a turning, and these people, very soon, mark my words, folks, these people will soon be on the run. Here's what's happening. You heard the old saying, right? When the people fear the government, it's tyranny. When the government fear the people, it's liberty. We're about to have the government fearing the people in a big way like we've never seen before in our lifetime. That's what I feel. And I get people, if you're wondering, Jim, you watch this stuff, you see all these, these courts, and, I have people contact my wife and ask her questions to ask me all the time. Not afraid, not worried, not concerned. Not at all. Not afraid, not worried, not concerned. I do believe that this whole, and I have for 2.5 or 3 years now, I believe this whole entire stinking, corrupt con is coming down. It's coming down. You may think, well, it doesn't seem that way. It is. It is. And I've stated before, they never, ever, ever, and I say they, these so-called leaders, these wannabe dictator overlords, right? They never wanted the Epstein information to come out. They never wanted the Nexium information to come out. They never wanted the Harvey Weinstein, that stuff, all that with Hollywood come out. Hollywood's basically a shell of its former self, which is a good thing. Has anybody heard anything much from Hollywood? No. They never wanted that stuff. They never wanted Ghislaine Maxwell. They never wanted that. They never wanted Wiener's laptop. They never wanted Hillary's emails captured. Right? Come on, think about that. If you're a good criminal, you can't people can't discover the con. Because once they discover the con, the whole thing falls apart. And that's what we're doing right now. Will anybody here listening to this broadcast really ever trust another electronic voting system ever again if it's run by the same people that are running the things now? Come on. Right? If most of us are not imbeciles. We may, have our political leanings, of course, but most people are not absolute drooling imbeciles. Many are, but not most. Okay? You realize when you see the rallies where there are 60,000 people showing up for Trump and 12 people show up for Biden, or 15 or 100, yet he's winning the election and beating Trump by 7 or 8 million votes. Come on, folks. Come on. These pundits that get on the television, the telly, which my thought is there's no device that's damaged the population more severely than the television. When these pundits get on the TV and say, oh, Trump should just concede, this whole election's over, Biden's the winner, they're knowing they hate you. They hate your guts. They're looking right in your face at the camera and lying right straight to you because they have nothing but contempt for you. You know why? Generally, because you build things, you create things, you love, right? You nurture, you honor. Not them. Nope. Not them. They destroy, they break, they hate, right? That's what they do. They're tyrants. They're tyrants. Now, here in Montana, thankfully, we're fighting back. Now, if I can bring this up here, I want to talk about specifically, and I'm going to have Brenda on the show tomorrow. I believe they have waxed the website where the website's down. So we're going to have Brenda on today, but the website is having some problems. I think they attacked it, actually, when the story went up on Montana Daily Gazette. And let's see if I can bring this up here. There we go. The Montana law firm to sue the state for unconstitutional mask mandate lockdown. Now, after this was filed, this was released, I believe, last night from the outgoing governor, Steve Bullock. A new guidance will take effect 2 days from now here in Montana, and it states that, well, you can read it. Masks required in all counties, regardless of case numbers. Public gatherings limited to 25 people when social distancing is not observed or possible. Bars, casinos, and restaurants to operate at 50% capacity and close by 10 p.m. Again, right before the holidays, right before people get all together for Thanksgiving, and sometimes 25 people is a small gathering for some families. We used to get together at Thanksgiving at my aunt's house and have 35, 40 people perhaps in my family and others, and people from the direct family and others that came with them, in-laws and whatnot. So 25 people is not even a big gathering for some families. Nope, can't do that. And what's the thing about 10 o'clock? It's 10 o'clock. I mean, no germs are active until 10 o'clock at night. And then all of a sudden 10 o'clock rolls around. The germs It's got a stopwatch. Okay, it's 9:58. We got to take it easy here. Step back. 10 o'clock, let's go get them. I mean, really? What are we, stupid? Again, they treat us like freaking mushrooms, right? They feed us manure and keep us in the dark. This is what they do to us. We're chattel to them. These people have no regard for us. Bullock, none of these people. You look over there in California. I mean, Newsom just gets caught last night at a big gathering. People aren't social distancing. No one's wearing a mask. Yet he's going to tell you what to do. Do you understand? They have a different mindset, folks. They themselves put their own selves in a different class. You know why they do it? Because they see what sheeple we are. They see everybody wearing masks all around. And you may say, well, masks, it really does have. Listen, there's just another study that was just put out by a Danish a medical firm, again, on top of multiple studies that have been put out that show you the mask is more harmful than it is good. Even says it on the box, doesn't protect against COVID-19. Let's not let facts get in the way of the narrative, though, of course. Then you hear these reports about the hospitals are overrun. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not. It's a lie. It's false. It's fake. It's a fraud. It's a con, like everything else. Like everything else. Like all the voting has been a con forever. For how many decades? Generations. This is how they operate, right? The whole thing's a con. It's all a fraud. It always has been. But now the fraud's starting to get, the layers of the onion of the fraud are starting to come back. Now, how do you like this last night in Michigan, where they have a 2-2 deadlock on the certifying the votes? Then one of them gets a phone call or they dox the person and put where their kids' school are and threaten them. Then they come back and go, oh, yeah, we're going to certify it now for to know. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is stuff that happens in third world countries, folks. This is banana republic type stuff. In America, the election commission decided to be deadlocked at 2-2. A phone call was made and threats were made, and then they went over to the other side. Are you joking? That's the kind of stuff that you see in a freaking movie when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're half asleep and something's playing on the TV and they're shaking some guy down in some foreign country. That's what happened. This is in America? Really? Do you understand how asleep at the wheel that we've been here in this country? We're all to blame. We're all to blame. We watch sports and we watch American Idol and MTV Awards and played video games while they took our country over right in front of our very eyes. That's what they've done. They've taken our country over right in front of our very eyes, and we've sat back and allowed them to do it lovingly. And when I say that, you still send your children to communist indoctrination centers, and you pay tens of thousands of dollars to send your child away from your home into an environment that's filled with communists, and they're indoctrinated on the spot when they show up. The whole time they're there, and they come back and they're not even the same person that they were when they left, but you pay for it. And then you know what? Next year, your neighbor sends their kids, and then your cousin sends their children. Don't you people learn? When are you going to stop? That's why they have disdain for us, because they look at us and they go, they're so stupid. They're stupid. That's what they think of us. And you know what? How can I argue with them in some points? How can you argue with them? I didn't really come on here to do this commentary and get all worked up, but I'm freaking tired of these scoundrels trying to take our country over. When are men going to stand up? Where's the men? Where's the men in this country? Where are the men? That's why this country's in the shape it's in right now, is because men have not been men. Tired of it. What's it going to take? Are they going to have to kick your door down and have their way with your wife right in front of you there until you go, well, maybe I better take my mask off and get into the game here? What's it going to take, folks? Anyway, Montana law firm to sue state for unconstitutional mask mandate and lockdown. A Montana law firm to sue the state of Montana in a declarative judgment seeking injunctive relief from governor's directives. Learn how to join the suit below. So the website, as I stated, is down right now, but it will be back up again. They're working on it, and I'll have Brenda Roscoe's on the show with me tomorrow and she is one of the main people that have been really working to get this lawsuit all put in place, and she'll be here tomorrow and to discuss that further with us here on the show. You know, yeah, do I get animated? Do I get upset? Yeah, but it's real, folks. It's real. I've been doing this for 15 years. I've been fired more than that. What's it, 20 years or more since 9/11, right? And that's another thing. We don't have to go over that, but that's another whole thing that happened right out in the open. And I guess buildings can collapse like Building 7 into their own footprint with never being hit by a plane, and everybody just goes, oh, yeah, that's normal. Yeah, pretty much. The government said it's supposed to happen, so I guess it's okay. Did it get hit by a plane? No. There were fires? Yeah, there was a couple small fires. But you mean the whole building, 42-story building, just collapsed in its own footprint without being hit by a plane? Uh-huh. Okay. No one thought that was odd? No one was outraged? Where's it? I mean, you understand? When those things happen, and they realize that we're not going to do anything about it, then they just continue to charge forward. And they openly. It's without shame. Why shouldn't they? The law firm is, hold on here. The law firm is, and I think it's RHOADES. I think it's Rhodes, Seifert, and Erickson. I have to go in there and change that. Rhodes, Seifert, and Erickson is the law firm. And the phone number for the law firm, Quentin Rhodes, is the person that you need to speak to. 406-721-9700. That's 406-721-9700. If you want to call them and speak to them, I don't have any idea how busy they are or if they're fielding a lot of calls. I think there's an email that's been set up. But what we're going to do is we're going to pull together. Well, they are. I say we. I mean, I'm telling you about it, so that's the we part for me. We're going to pull people together, and if you've been victimized by this lockdown, if it's caused you heartache, if it's caused you financial trouble, and I don't know the specific criteria, you'll have to talk to the law firm, but you too can join the lawsuit. And it's going to be like a class action lawsuit. Sort of. I don't really know exactly. Like I said, I haven't talked to the law firm. Hopefully I'll know more when Brenda's on tomorrow. Maybe might even have one of the attorneys on. I don't know. I haven't really spoke to them, but they're welcome to come on the show if they'd like to. But we're going to find out more details tomorrow when Brenda's here. But basically, there's going to be I guess for lack of better terms, class action lawsuit that's going to be being brought forth against the state health department, things like that. Because really, the legislature are the ones that are supposed to be putting out those kind of directives, if they're put out at all. It has to be done by the legislature. Now, here in the Flathead Valley, we've been very fortunate that we have a very good county commissioners. We have a health board. Right now, I believe they're deadlocked 4-4 on the mask mandate and the enforcement. I don't believe the sheriff. I spoke to Sheriff Haino at the beginning, really way back, I think in April or May. I did an interview with him. I think it's on my Northwest Liberty News website with Sheriff Haino here. As far as he's concerned, he's not going to, he told me, he said, myself and my deputy have taken an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and we are going to support the Constitution. The county attorney is not going to go after anybody. The judge here, well, there was a ruling here just last week. I think I reported on it here in Flathead County. They were trying to go after 5 businesses for not, I guess, trying to enforce the mask mandate, hard enough, firm enough. That failed. So we're, and who knows, is what's going to happen here when this, let's see here. What's going to happen? Are people going to listen to this? Are people here in Montana? I'm not. I can tell you that. I'll say that right now on air, right now publicly. I'm not. I'm going to protest and resist. I'm not going to listen to that. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Now, if people would join me right? En masse. Then it would stop. They're saying it would stop. But people have to join together, right? And they are. Here in the Flathead Valley, especially, of any place that I've read about, and I sit around going through newspapers looking for mask mandate stuff, but from the knowledge that I have, this has been one of the most active, of course, save South Dakota. I think the governor in that state just said, blow it out your ear. We're not doing anything. However, here of the counties in Montana, Flathead Valley has the people here, and that's why I love the Flathead Valley. There's so many patriots here in the Flathead Valley, and they've come together when it's necessary. You see, people can say they're patriots, and people can sit behind their keyboards, and they can make big proclamations and make promises, but patriots act when it's time to act, right? That's what a patriot does. They stand. And that's what has happened here in this valley. The patriots have stood and said, we're not putting up with the shenanigans. All right? Why does God... You tell me that the governor has the ability to close down? They say, well, it's not essential. If that's the business that feeds your family and puts food on your table, it's an essential business. It's essential. For them to take 50% of your customers now, if you're in a restaurant, they've basically taken 50% of your customers and 50% of your income. You tell me the governor has the right to do that? To destroy your livelihood? It's essential for you. It may not be essential for the community, but it's essential for you. Think about it, folks. When you voted for the governor, even if you voted for Bullock, you didn't give him lordship. You didn't make him a dictator. He doesn't have that power, whether you like him or not. I mean, doesn't that offend you, even if you're a Democrat? You're not offended by another adult telling you what to do? How much are you going to listen to other adults? What happens next? What if they tell you got to wear a clown mask? Or you have to dress like a clown? What if they said you have to dress like a clown before you can go to the grocery store? I guarantee you there'd be people that would dress like clowns. Literal clowns. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. Because the governor said that that's what we should do. Do you understand the madness? When does it stop? When does it stop? When does it stop? No, the thing is you need to resist the tyranny from the beginning, right? Don't let these people put their nose under the tent. Okay? Stop it from the beginning. If you're listening to this program and your town's coming down with these lockdowns, resist. Resist. Say we're not going to do it. Study after study. There's no science behind all the stuff that they say about these masks. There's not the science behind it that they claim. They have the mainstream media and their mouthpieces running behind it. Listen, if you're worried about all this stuff, about this corona and getting all this stuff, turn the TV off. Just turn it off. I talked to my friend yesterday. He lives in Austin, Texas. Used to live here in Kalispell. Moved down to Austin. He said, my whole family had COVID a month ago. Every one of us. My 87-year-old mother-in-law had it. We're all fine. I felt bad for a couple of days. My 87-year-old mother, she had a slight fever for about a day and a half. But everybody's just fine. Everybody's just fine. It's not about your health, folks. If the masks were effective in protecting you, they would outlaw you from wearing them. Do you understand? Trust me when I tell you, I just spoke probably the most succinct truth you're going to hear today. If the masks worked, they would not allow you to wear them in the store or anywhere. They would say you can't wear masks if they worked. Look at hydroxychloroquine. Perfect example. When they found out that it could have knocked out coronavirus, we can't take that. That's not approved. And they came up with 12 different excuses why no one could take it. Because they knew it worked. That's why. Do you understand? These people that run things, they're not like you and me, right? They don't think like we do. You say, well, I would never do that to somebody. I can't believe they would, because they don't have the same moral compass that you do. They don't start from the same position that you do. They're evil. They have a black heart. This is what they hate you. They have contempt for society and for all humanity. It's true. It's true. I wish I was wrong. I wish I was wrong. I really, really do. I really do. If you're just tuning into this program here from Montana Daily Gazette, go to Northwest Liberty News on YouTube and check out just the voluminous amount of videos I've done on, you name it, everything from CIA Mockingbird, Agenda 21, CPS stuff, child kidnapping, all that, done it all, talked about it all. Not that I'm some special guy or anything. It's just that, folks, this evil is just been around for a long time, and it's been out there, and people like me have been reporting on it, but people like you have been letting it go and not doing anything. That's the problem. These people will only continue to force us to live under tyranny as long as we allow it. They're not going to give you any quarter. They're not going to say, well, they got it. They're not that bad. Yeah, they are that bad. Mm-hmm. Yep, they are that bad. When they can support organizations that set a house on fire with a child inside and then block the street so the fire department can't get down and put the fire out, and then they support these folks, that's evil incarnate, folks. That's from the pits of hell. It's from the pits of hell. This is what we're up against. So no, these people are not like you. You have to break that mindset of going, well, I would never do anything like that. No, you probably wouldn't. You probably wouldn't. No, but that's their plan, see? They just don't do, it's not a one-off for them. Oh, I just had a lack in judgment. Nope. This is their game plan. This is the blueprint to subject you to absolute slavery, to break apart your family, right? To suck all the wealth out of your bank account if they can. You tell me, what are you going to do when you find out that they've had cures for a lot of these diseases for years? For years, but it wasn't profitable. See, disease is profitable. Health, not so profitable. Nope, healthy people don't go to the doctor. They don't buy drugs. They don't spend, $280,000 on cancer treatments. Right? Healthy people don't do that. No, sick people do. And that's what they want to keep you and me and everybody else. Really, I didn't really expect a rant today, but it's just one of those things. I haven't broadcast in a couple days. I did the CPS show earlier, and I just can't stand the criminality, the way they treat these children, these parents. It just set the tone for me for the day. So I'm not going to apologize because it's real. I'm not freaking making it up. This stuff I'm so tired of criminals. I'm so tired of these criminals. I can't even stand it. I want them to be gone. I want them to be gone. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. Everywhere. People. All right, we're going to go over here to Montana Daily Gazette and cover a couple things here. Here's good news. Story I put out here, I think it was yesterday or earlier today. Record gun sales in Montana and all across the country. Folks, as I pointed out in the article, when you have people burning cities down and them talking about defunding police, yeah, people are going to go buy firearms. Heck yeah, they are. What do you expect them to do? Sit back and just be taken over? No, people are, in one of these things here, what is it, New Jersey and Washington, D.C.? It's up like 322% firearm purchases from last year. Right? People are waking up. People, you want to disarm me, burn my city down, and then defund the police. And you want me just to sit back and let these raving fools come through my home and ravage it? No, people aren't putting up with that anymore. They're not putting up with it anymore. And it's a good thing. Now here's the problem. It's hard to get ammo right now. Hopefully that changes, but there's plenty of firearms, I think, but it's ammo, of course, that's in short supply. So just keep that in mind. Let's go back over here to Montana Daily Gazette. Senator Ed Butcher has a good op-ed here. So you tell me if this makes sense. Now we look here at the amount of COVID patients. The title of this article is Progressive Insanity, Missoula Nursing Home to Admit COVID-19 Patients. I didn't publish that, but I couldn't believe it when I read it. Right? How many senior citizens have to die in nursing homes across the country before you realize it's probably not a good thing to put COVID-19 patients in nursing homes? It's true. They're going to put COVID-19 patients in nursing homes. Now, in New York, didn't thousands of elderly people die in nursing homes in Washington State? They're the most vulnerable people in the whole spectrum of vulnerability. Senior citizens are the most vulnerable. I mean, again, folks, just to circle back to what I just stated. They loathe you. They loathe you and me. They hate you. They have nothing but disdain for you. You think these people are in power are going to, you telling me that we're going to let the same people that screwed everything up, now they're going to fix it all? No. Come on. This is, quote unquote, the Great Awakening, when people like in this community are going against the machine and throwing a cog in the works. You've got across the country, people are rising up. You've got these rallies that are just springing up out of nowhere. Don't know what's going to happen with this election. I mean, I'm not concerned about Trump winning because he's got all the votes, but I don't know what's going to happen when they announce it. Are people going to take to the streets? Are these people going to? Yeah, they probably are, folks. Probably what's going to be coming up here. Understand that. Just take it. I mean, you know, if you're in a city that is surrounded by these people. Of course, this thing goes off when you talk. If you're in a city surrounded by these people, it's very important that you do get your firearms. It's very important that you do get as much ammo as you can. Get food, get water. Get out if you can. If you got a way to get out, right? I mean, I know, so, well, you shouldn't leave. Well, no, if you're there like in a street and you're like the only conservative or the only patriot on the street and you've had these mobs roaming up and down your street before, you can't take on 300 people, no matter how good of a shot you are, right? I mean, seriously, sometimes you have to do the wise thing and retreat. So if you're in one of these neighborhoods and you don't have a community to help you, or you don't have people there to, excuse me, if you don't have people there, you know, as a support system, you may not want to hang around. You may want to think about hightailing it out of there and going to a safer location. You know, now in Montana here, you don't really have to worry too much about that. I mean, there are pockets, but generally speaking, most people in Montana here are I would say lean conservative. Certainly are gun owners, money. And I think based upon that story that I read earlier, that I had earlier, I want to say that Montana was ranked number 6 in the nation as far as firearms per capita. So we have, as far as firearms per the population, we're number 6. So we used to be number 2. If I remember seeing that study a couple of years ago, in Arizona was number 1. But here's the thing is the reason that, we're no longer up that high, because a lot of people already have guns. So when the whole big gun, the big gun purchase started here, I think it was like in May or June, if I remember the numbers, is when it really started ramping up. That's why Montana's didn't shoot to the moon like 300%, because there's already so many people armed here. I mean, yeah, I guess you could have 25 weapons if you really thought you needed them. But if you have 5 or 6 or 7 and plenty of ammo, probably enough. How many can you fire at once? Now, of course, I know some of my friends here in the Valley would not agree with that statement. They say, no, 5 or 6 is not enough, Jim. I go, okay, well, it's up to you. Buy as many as you think you can afford. That's fine with me. But generally speaking, we're a well-armed society here in Montana, and we don't put up with shenanigans. Right here in the Flathead Valley, we had 750 people show up, probably. Did the video. Many of them armed. A lot of them with semi-automatic weapons. That's how we roll. right? You're not going to come into this town here and cause mayhem and pull people out of cars and burn our businesses down. Not here in the Flathead Valley. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. Just tell you that right now. Ain't going to happen. There are way too many patriots around here to let that happen. But if you don't have patriots in your town, folks, I mean, I don't know what to say except to make sure that you maintain, you be safe. You can't take on the mob, right? Don't bow to the mob, but the choice is don't even confront the mob. Try not to confront the mob. Try to avoid that because it's probably not going to end well. You see the videos. Unless you got a large group, unless you're a member of the Proud Boys. And I wish there was there should be a Proud Boys group in every town. And conservatives need to get together. In Michigan, for example, I don't know if I was talking on this show. Yeah, I think it was this show, where they called in and they threatened the court watchers. Conservatives have to stand up and form volunteer protection groups for these people because they've got the mob against them. That's why these people caved in Michigan, is because they were threatened. And if conservatives would have stood up and had like a conservative volunteer protection group or something, maybe they would have voted differently. But now they feel like they're on an island. They're doxing their children, where their children go to school, their home addresses. And some of these people on the left understand they let a whole bunch of prisoners out of prisons all across the country. That's part of the mob that you're seeing in these streets. Some of these people are violent offenders. Violent offenders, and they were let out because of the COVID. They were let out onto the streets. Now they're in your town, right? In your street, in your neighborhood, with other hardened criminals who were let out from other points from who knows where. These are the people you're up against. These aren't like, some of them are, college age young adults. A lot of these people are prisoners that have been released from jail. I'm not making it up. You saw the reports. In your state, I think even in Montana, they released some prisoners. I don't know how hardened they were, but they did release some prisoners in Montana. I don't know if they've brought them back yet, but this was months ago when all the whole hype, the crazy part of everything was going on, like 3 or 4 months ago, when they were releasing prisoners. So it was twofold. The releasing prisoners had two purposes. First of all, they're voters, right? They're Democratic voters mostly, because they were let out in Democratic cities. And then B, they had instant hardened criminals for rioting. Right? Served two purposes for them for letting criminals out. The votes and the riots. Oh, the peaceful protests. Sorry. I don't want to get kicked off of YouTube. The peaceful protests. That's what they had these people for. And it worked. It sure worked. It sure worked. Now, how many of these people, I'd be interested to know, of these senior citizens that passed away, how many of them voted? How many of them voted? Probably a lot of them. There was a lot of dead people that voted. This whole entire vote process in this country is being exposed as nothing but a giant fraud. The owner of the computer system that runs the voting said he can change 1 million votes in minutes. 1 million votes. How many people in your town, how many of these overlords that are imposing these draconian mandates on you got into office because they stole the election? How many of those people got in by not legally beating the opponent, but gaming the system with the voting box? Will we ever know? Will we ever know? I don't know. I don't know. But I've said for a couple of years now, if all of this fraud gets exposed, the Dems will never win another election, maybe ever again. Because I don't think generally the population, except for these radicals that you see that are highlighted on the TV, generally people that watch this show and live, not even watch this show, but people in everyday life, they don't want strife. They don't want heartache. They don't want constant, tension and stress. And no one wants this. Who wants this? Who wants to live in this kind of world where you can't drive your car down the street, right? And you see these, it's just ridiculous to me. You see these videos where they go to these people's houses in residential neighborhoods, and the guy comes out on the porch and goes, I got a Biden sign, man. I got a Biden sign. I'm with you guys. I got a Biden sign. That didn't matter to them. I don't care about that. That's a con too. That's a con too. And here's what we have to do, folks. We have to break the spell. We got to break the spell. Can you see the collective spell that's been put on everyone? It's a scientific dictatorship. Look at the work of Edward Bernays, the father of modern propaganda. You eat eggs and bacon for breakfast because of him. That's right. You eat eggs and bacon because of Edward Bernays and many other things. The father of modern propaganda, the nephew of Sigmund Freud. And the fact of the matter is, it's way easier to influence large groups of people than it is small groups and individuals. I know you may think that doesn't make sense. Hold on a minute. You mean, but you'd have to fool more people. No, that's true. It's true. You can influence the masses way more than you can influence individuals. You see it happening. And then here's what they've done, right? So they don't have to be everywhere. So if your town's a draconian masked town, right? The police and the authorities don't have to be everywhere, because now there's a whole cadre of statists, wannabe dictators, that are walking around pointing out you for not wearing a mask, thinking that they rule you, like they've been given some imaginary power that doesn't exist. Now they're your overlords. They're going to do the work that the cops aren't here to do, or the city council, whoever it is. Now they have these cadre of Karen and Kens across the country, right, that think, not only do you have to listen to the governor, you got to listen to me. I run things. You don't like it? I'm going to write you down or report you or get in your face. Or some people, there's been violent backlashes against people for not wearing masks. Do you understand how far afield that is from the foundation put in place by our forefathers? I mean, you've heard the phrase, they'd be rolling over in their grave, for crying out loud. That doesn't even describe it. That falls short of the outrage that they would probably be experiencing right now, seeing what's going on and seeing how people, they would just go, how did people become such sheep? What in the heck happened? And that's what we're going to have to do, folks. When all the smoke clears and all this stuff is finally done, because you just can't run an engine at top speed forever until it breaks down. And that's what we're doing right now, right? This whole everything, it's like everything's running at like top speed. Everything's intense, right? Everything's intense, right? I'm intense. The show's intense. People on TV are intense. Your neighbors, they're not intense. They're tense. They're stressed. People are pissed, right? Across the country. They're angry. I have like anger level 10 like every day over something, okay? That can't continue, okay? It can't continue forever. Something's got to break down. It can't continue. And when it does finally break down and the smoke clears and we're trying to put all the pieces back together again and rebuild, which we're probably going to have to do, we have to be mindful of what we did wrong to get us into this position, because we can never go down this path again. If we escape these satanic overlords now and we're able to beat them back, right? Push them back to the gates of hell. If we're able to do that now, we can never let this happen again, folks. We have to understand, what did we do to put us in a situation where one man or one woman can wave their hand across and everybody puts a mask on and complies like a sheep? How did it get to that point? 100 years ago even, or 200 years ago, or 150 years ago, when this, right around the founding of this nation, and we were building the Industrial Revolution, and we were building our nation. People want to put up with that stuff. How did we get so soft? How did we get so weak? How did we get so damn weak? What happened? I can tell you what happened. I can tell you one of the things that happened. The pastor, the modern pastor, has failed America. Now, if you're a pastor out there and you say, well, I haven't, I'm not saying every pastor. I'm not saying every town. I'm saying in general, a general statement. The church, the pastor, whatever you want to call it, has failed this nation. We've got churches closing and not worshiping because the government says you can't. That's not strength, folks. That's not strength. That's weakness. That is weakness. And sadly, that is what has got a grip on most of the pastors across this country. I mean, maybe 5%, 6%. Otherwise, you're not going to believe this. And I tried to find this study. I read it. It's a Barna. I think it's a Barna. Does that sound right? A Barna Institute. George Barna comes to the mind, but this was years ago. These guys they weren't even from America. They were from like Australia or England or something. They went across the country in all different states, and they talked to all different churches and pastors and did questions about them. Questions about biblical, Bible and the beliefs and things like that. And and if I remember correctly, I want to say they came back, it was in the 70%. 70% of the pastors didn't even believe that the Bible was the true word of God. Upper 70% of them, 78%, something like that. I know that's going to amaze you. It's an amazing statistic. Look at the state of the world right now. Does it surprise you? Does that sound like that's very surprising to you? Nothing exists in a vacuum, folks. When you remove God from society, from your schools, from your neighborhoods, and of course from your churches, what happens? That vacuum gets filled by the enemy. Life can't exist in a vacuum in that sense. So when you ask God to leave and you remove God, that void gets filled by evil, by the enemy. And that's what's happened now. The only good part about this is people now, sadly, some people don't act until something is being threatened to be removed from them, or they feel like there's going to be taken, right? It's human nature, whatever you want. But now there's almost a resurgence of people going back to churches. Are we in the cusp of a spiritual revival in this country? Folks, I certainly hope and pray so. I really do. Again, as I've stated before, we are at a crossroads right now in civilization as we know it. We're at the crossroads. We're at the crossroads. One part of the path leads to freedom and hopefully a religious revival. And the other path leads to deep, dark tyranny. Coming after, making lists of people like me and you, if you're conservative or if you supported President Trump. They're going after people that just supported President Trump. I've got to stand up over my shoulder that I've probably broadcast hundreds of shows with. You think they're going to let a guy like me go? Nope, they're not. I know this. I know that if it goes, if somehow miraculously this thing is stolen and the police state gets ramped back up again, it's not going to be good for me. But hey, I won't go into it, but that's okay. That's all right. I know this. And I made that. I've went over that choice and talked to my wife about that, and we've made that decision long ago. So I'm putting it in God's hands, and I'm moving forward, and I'm not going to retreat. And you shouldn't either. It's your country, folks. It's your children's future. If we don't stand up and fight against this tyranny, there isn't going to be one. There won't be one. It'll be one of slavery, and you'll be chipped, and all of your finances, if they don't like what you're doing, they'll just turn off your chip. I won't get chipped. Well, if you have to get mandatory vaccinations to go to the grocery store, and the Great Reset, which I did a show on, I don't know, was it yesterday or the day before, talked about the Great Reset. If that goes into place, your freedom's done. You're going to live a life of misery, you and your posterity. That's what we're up against, folks. Rochelle's wrong. Let's check a couple more stories here. And I'm just getting over this illness here. I can't broadcast much longer. So let me hit a couple of more stories here, and then we will call it a wrap. And just letting you know, please tune in Friday to Friday's show. I'm going to have Ron Gibson on the show. And it's probably, from having Ron on, it's probably one of my most popular, most requested topics. If you don't know Ron Gibson, he's just, like I said, go to YouTube, Northwest Liberty News YouTube, and type in Ron Gibson. I think the name of the 5-part video series is The Truth Will Set You Free. You'll get a college education on who you really are in that video. It's all free on my channel. But Ron Gibson's going to be on here Friday, and he's going to be talking about the 12 presumptions of the court. These aren't published. Most people don't even know about it. But the 12 presumptions of the court, we're going to be talking about that on Friday, and please don't miss that show, folks. You won't believe, when you go into court, everything is stacked against you. You don't realize that, but it is from the very beginning. There's these 12 presumptions that no one even knows about when you go in. All of these things are presumed about you, and until you object to those, they stand. So, again, I don't know when Ron's going to be on Friday, probably 9 o'clock at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. But please catch that show if you can. I tell you, if you haven't heard Ron Gibson, the guy's just a walking encyclopedia of knowledge, and some of my best shows that I've ever done have been with Ron, for sure. So check that out here on these same networks. All right, let's hit one more article here, and then we will call it a day here. Oh, yeah. Okay. Kind of what I was talking about a little bit earlier. I'm sure if you heard this one. The Biden COVID-19 task force seeks to require a vaccine before receiving food stamps. So if you read what they put on here, they said, they want to bundle stuff together, bundle services that are already being provided, food and housing, and basically what they're saying is, if you want to eat and you want a place to live and you want the state to pay for it, you're going to have to get a vaccine, mandatory. That's right. Mandatory vaccine. Now, thankfully, here in Montana, God gave me the foresight months and months ago, back in, I think, June or July. I started asking the legislators that came on my Excellence in Voting radio program, point blank on the show, for them to publicly state that they would not stand behind any mandatory vaccinations here in Montana. All of them did. Almost every one of them won their races, except for a couple. So we have a whole cadre of legislators in the House and the Senate here in Montana that will not stand behind forced vaccinations. And if they do, then we're going to publicly shame them and show the video and show them to be liars. So that's all we can do, right? I mean, let's hope and pray that they stand behind with their word. And I think from the ones that I talk to, they will. But they're listen, the government wants to be inside your body, inside your mind, inside your pocketbook, inside your family. They want to be in every aspect of your life. And they want total and complete control. Check out the Agenda 21. Go to YouTube again to Northwest Liberty News and other platforms. But type in Agenda 21, the blueprint for global enslavement. It was done by Dan Happel. If you know Dan Happel here, if you're a Montana person, you know Dan, great guy, good friend of mine. He has the Connecting the Dots radio show. I've been on his show a couple of times, and I've interviewed Dan. But he did a fantastic video presentation here. It's probably the video that's got some of my most views on my channel. It's called Agenda 21, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, I think is what it is. But check it out. Check it out. It's a great video. Dan does a great job, and it lays it all out, folks. And is it any coincidence that all this great reset and all this stuff is coming about right here on 2021? Nope. No coincidence. There's no coincidences. I just got to go. Can't broadcast anymore. It's getting difficult for me. So I appreciate you. I'm just getting over this. I think I'll be way better tomorrow. Thanks for looking in. Please support us at the support the show. I didn't even run a commercial today. Support our sponsors at the Corner Shop. Dan Cohen over there at the Corner Shop. Does great work over there. Really. Matter of fact, I can take a vehicle over there and have him take a look at it. But check out the Corner Shop right there in Kalispell. If you're in the Kalispell area, if you go around the courthouse, it's that auto shop that's got all the hot cars and everything in the window. That's the Corner Shop. Support them. Let them know that you got sent over from Northwest Liberty News or Montana Gazette Radio. We do appreciate you looking in. We're just out of time here today, and I said I'm gonna go and kind of get some medicine or something, or some herbal stuff. I'm taking some elderberry, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put that recipe for elderberry on the line here. I'll create a document or something and flash it on the screen, and you can take notes. Great stuff. Can't tell you. I think I'd be much sicker for much longer if I wasn't taking that homemade elderberry every day. That's for sure. So thanks for looking in. James White, Montana Gazette Radio. Till next time, folks, it's time to stand. It's time to stand. It's time to stand. Stand with me. Till next time, this is James White saying bye now.